Hello, thank you for joining us. I'm Kan Yong-ho from the Korea Herald. Here are the top stories of the week. North Korea is sealing off the border city of Kaesong after claiming that a defector suspected of having COVID-19 symptoms came back home from South Korea. The regime's Korean Central News Agency said Tuesday that the complete lockdown of Kaesong City, as well as quarantine measures by each region and virus tests are being strictly carried out. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has also declared a state of emergency for the region and blocked off the city to prevent the virus from spreading. Meanwhile, according to the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the defector appears to have crossed the inter-Korean border by passing through a waterway to avoid South Korean guards to reach the shore and swimming a few kilometers into North Korea. Seoul looks to charge foreign patients infected with the coronavirus for their hospitalization and treatment costs. In the past 2 weeks, 63% of newly confirmed cases have been brought in from overseas. Under the current law, the costs of virus testing in hospital care and other treatment are covered by the Korean government, regardless of the patient's nationality. Through legal changes, South Korea plans to make those who intentionally cause a burden to the country's quarantine and medical system, violating self-isolation rules, for example, pay for their own bill. The government will continue to cover medical expenses for foreigners who already have health insurance in the country. South Korea's total value of mobile shopping transactions reached a record high in the first quarter of 2020 amid the ongoing virus outbreak. According to market researcher DMC Media, purchases made through mobile devices like smartphones in the January to March period marked 24.79 trillion won, which is about $20 billion. Another report from market tracker Nielsen Korea Click showed that Coupang was the most used mobile e-commerce platform in the country as of April. More than 15 million consumers made their purchases on Coupang Mobile, followed by 11 Street with about 10 million and 당근 Market with almost 8 million. Speaking of 당근 Market, we're going to talk about Korea's mobile flea market in a moment. So Korea's high usage rate of smartphone has created the ideal condition for mobile flea market business. Apps like 당근 Market, 번개장터, and 중고나라 have been gaining more followers in recent months. To tell us more about them, we have our very own Kim Hae-yeon in the studio today. Hae-yeon, welcome back.
Thank you, Kan.
Well, why do you think the flea market apps have become a trend in South Korea? And how have they gained so much popularity here?
So in recent years, sustainable shopping has been a recurring theme not just in Korea but throughout the world. But we all know that it's not easy to go to flea markets or garage sales with the COVID-19 pandemic still going on. In that case, what is the alternative when you still care about your consumption pattern? How can we save and buy things we need at affordable prices without going to crowded places? A lot of people have turned to mobile flea markets. The concept here is pretty simple. Users download and log into the app, post their items as sellers, and receive messages from buyers who are interested. There are subcategories, from small necessities such as clothes and washing goods, food items such as packaged snacks and canned goods, all the way to heavy merchandise like sofas, mattresses, laptop computers, and microwave ovens. Products and items can be new or used. They just have to catch the eyes of potential buyers.
So wow, I see there's a wide range of items that you can sell or even buy on this mobile flea market.
That's right.
Please do tell us how the system works.
So let me tell you the basics of how to use this online flea market. The common rules are that the sellers register their items on the app, including a valid picture, description, and price. The trade of live animals, weapons, and illegal materials is banned, as it is in most legal offline markets. Buyers then express their interest in the items and talk with the sellers through the app's chat system. The art of price negotiation, which is the essential part and fun of flea markets, is carried out through messaging. Personal information is protected as all users interact through their nicknames or IDs. The buyers typically wires the money through a banking app and collects the items via mail. In cases where the company is more directly involved in the money exchange, such as like the case with 번개장터, the buyer can send the money through the app itself. However, transactions on the most recent app in the industry, which is 당근 Market, are done usually in person. You can search and choose your neighborhood and get certified as being in your hometown area through your GPS. Once you're certified, the items that pop up are customized for you, with the majority being nearby sellers that are in walking distance. So in this case, you can meet with the seller offline at a place and time that you both agree to.
Wow, I see that you can buy all these items nearby your neighborhood. That's a big plus, I think. But at this point, I gotta ask, can foreigners use the application as well? In particular, can English speakers use this app?
Good question. So although there is a language barrier, it's possible for users speaking English to use this app. So to set 당근 Market as an example, after you download the app on your phone, you can switch the language to English under the Settings tab. The majority of items posted by individual sellers are in Korean, but you can see the image of the item and they usually post several of them, so you'll be able to see the details as well. The most important task here is to communicate by chatting with the seller online. While we're talking about the online vintage commerce system, how about we open up a chat room with an item of our choice, sending a message right here in English and see how the seller responds.
I think that's a good idea, and we can show that our viewers to see if they can use the app in English.
That's right.
Let's give it a shot.
I have here once again my cell phone for this spontaneous experiment. Let me show you the app first. So this is the Carrot app. 당근 is carrot in English. So if you download the app, it'll appear as carrot with a K.
And on the top left corner, it says Hwamdong, which is where we are.
Right.
So it's based on our location.
Right, right.
And it's this is the list of items that people who are nearby us that are selling online.
That's right.
So I see that there's a bicycle, there's a wristwatch, some clothing, shoes, dried seaweed.
Dried
Interesting.
seaweed.
So I can tell that there's no limit to which items you can sell or even buy.
That's correct. As long as you have the items that are
Legal. Okay. So what are we trying to buy?
Let's pick
What's
an
the
item.
item?
Any preference?
How about this here? Can you go up? It's a bag for
Mini lunchbox bag. Wow, this is kind of cute.
So let's give it a shot.
Okay.
And let's start chatting with this seller.
All right. So I will press chat and then,
That's the seller's ID right here.
right.
It says 삼각지 station exit number 10. That's pretty close from here. Do you like this bag?
귀엽네요.
Can I buy this lunchbox? I am
숙대
Sukdae
station? 숙대
Station.
University station.
So this
Sukdae,
is where the Korea Herald is.
All right,
The
now,
message is sent.
Now the ball is in the seller's court. While we're waiting for a response from the seller, I actually have a few more questions about this app that I want to ask you.
Okay.
So although I don't personally use this app, I've heard and read some troubling stories about it. Could you tell us what they are?
All right, so there have been cases of sexual harassment online where obscene messages are sent by anonymous buyers. Let me tell you a case. In Korea, a 32-year-old woman who was trying to sell a bikini she bought from a duty-free store that she had never worn before received a message from an unknown user asking her to wear it once, expressing interest. The user told the seller that the item will be bought right away if she accepts the offer and shows an image of her wearing the item. But it's hard for a seller to report harassment quickly because of the anonymity offered in the online market space before the deal. But why is the seller so hesitant to report these cases? It's because the seller is contacting multiple buyers at the same time. Therefore, even if the ID is forcibly removed, the person can still log in using a different ID with a new cell phone and then threaten her again for revenge. A second problematic case here is that of reselling. Let's say you posted a watch that you owned and it's one of a kind. A buyer figures out that that watch is worth more than the amount of money you posted. Then he strategically buys your watch, doubles the price up, then reposts the exact item in his neighborhood. In order for this act to be considered a fraud, however, there needs to be an obvious victim. But in this case, it's ambiguous whether anyone has suffered a loss at all.
I see that from the cases that you mentioned, there are quite some troubling problems about this app. But is there anything we can do to prevent such problems in legal cases?
Yes, so according to a survey conducted by the National Human Rights Commission of Korea in 2018, respondents had complained that punishment for online sexual harassment is still very weak in Korea. Obscene messages sent while shopping in direct transactions can be subject to charges of indecent use of telecommunication media under Article 13 of the Sexual Violence Punishment Act. The law applies to communications that cause sexual shame to the other party, and the perpetrator can be sentenced up to 2 years in prison or fined up to 5 million won. However, charges can only be sought when such communications are repeatedly happening, and it can't be charged when it's happened only once.
I guess you could say there's a legal way to fight this, such troubling issues. But I'm sure there's a reason why people continue to use the app despite such problems. Why do you think that is?
So, as a matter of fact, getting rid of the things you don't need, sharing them with your neighbors, getting goods you need at cheaper prices, these are all positive factors that keep the online flea market growing at this moment. We can also notice postings that are saying giving away stuff for free. Items such as baby diapers, reusable cloths and curtains, and also books that are already read but kept on shelves. Carrying the value of recycling and reusing, doing good for the environment as well as to your neighbors is a philosophy commonly understood but hard to achieve when living in a crowded city just here like Seoul, where we are now. New guidelines and restrictions following punishments should be discussed and updated, since this platform can grow to be the one that helps the community and individuals.
That's right. Before we wrap it up, we want to obviously check out to see if our seller responded to our message a few minutes ago. Shall we?
Okay. Let's open up our cell phone again.
It's only been 5 minutes or less since we sent.
Oh, the seller just commented back.
Yeah, it's happening right now. The seller says, yes, I'm at 삼각지, and he or she said it in English.
Okay.
So it looks like we out to buy this bag for mini lunch.
Nice. So as you can see, again, there was a reply. It was replied back in just about a minute or two.
So what do you want to say?
Yeah, I should reply back. I'm gonna say, when can we meet? We need to decide the time.
It looks like the seller is at 삼각지, and that's where that person's trying to meet us.
Right, so it's raining hard. Probably we should meet after 6 when we're done for the day.
But we
All right.
could go right now because this is actually work.
Would it be considered work?
Yeah.
Okay,
Why wouldn't it be? We're working.
but we're getting a lunchbox, so yes, the message is sent. We'll pick up our lunchbox later on after the show.
Well, Haeyeon, thank you again for your detailed report.
Thanks again.
That does it for us today. Until next time, goodbye.
안녕하세요. 와, 감사합니다. 도시락 받았습니다. 네, 혹시 그 실례가 안 된다면 영어로 하셨을 때 당황스럽진 않으셨어요?
영어로 여쭤보시는 분들 꽤 많아서
네.
그냥 그러려니 했어요.
아, 네. 친절하게 답해주셔서 감사합니다.
네.
좋은 하루 되세요.
안녕하세요.
네. 네, 감사합니다, 선생님. 네.